A high school student named Otonashi wakes up with amnesia, and an armed girl next to him called Yuri tells him that he is in the afterlife and is a new member of the Afterlife Battlefront. Disoriented, Otonashi tells her he doesn't understand the situation, and Yuri tells him he just needs to focus on fighting the Battlefront's enemy, a girl named Angel. She also tells him that people in the afterlife can't die, and even though Angel looks like a normal girl, Otonashi needs to trust her. Another Battlefront member, Hinata, arrives, but Otonashi is tired of them and approaches Angel to tell her that some students call her an angel and are aiming a gun at her. Angel tells him that he truly is in the afterlife and she is the student council president of their school. When he asks for proof that he is in the afterlife, she promptly stabs him. He wakes up in the school nurse's office with no stab wounds but with evidence that he had been stabbed. When he tries to leave, a boy named Noda kills him for insulting Yuri by not joining the Battlefront. When Otonashi tries to go for help, he can't find any adults and is killed by a trap entering the principal's room. He wakes up from death to the members of the Battlefront renaming their group again, and they try to recruit him again, suggesting that if he doesn't fight he could be reincarnated as a barnacle. The group tell him they plan to eliminate Angel and rule the afterlife, and that they use the principal's office to make their plans away from Angel. With some hesitation, Otonashi decides to join the Battlefront, and he meets the large Matsushita, talentless Uyama, TK who can only speak English, Takamatsu the idiot, the rude Fujimaki, the ninja Shana, and Iwasawa. Members of the Battlefront also wear special uniforms to differentiate themselves from NPCs. Students who act normally around school but somehow do not age. Yuri reveals that students who disobey the school rules are killed by Angel, a particularly violent and unique NPC. Secretly, Otonashi isn't sure about the group, but he just wants to bide time till his memories come back. To initiate him into the group, they let him join Operation Tornado, a strategy to steal school meal tickets. They perform the operation by using the all-girl band Girls Dead Monster to distract the NPCs while members of the Battlefront guard the band against Angel. At the outskirts of school, Otonashi runs into Angel and shoots her in the stomach, but this doesn't stop Angel, who deflects his bullets and chases him down before the rest of the group arrive. The Battlefront unloads all their weapons on Angel to no avail, and even a bazooka can't take her down. Meanwhile, Operation Tornado goes off without problems as the group uses massive fans to steal and collect hundreds of meal tickets from the NPCs. And as the group retreats, Otonashi can't help but watch Angel. And later, when he eats with the rest of the Battlefront, he wonders what his purpose is in this afterlife. After the success of Operation Tornado, the group embark on Operation Parachute, a plan to travel underground to the Guild, allies of the Battlefront who make weapons for the surface members of the Battlefront. As they travel to the Guild, an angry Noda confronts Otonashi but is killed by a trap. Yuri determines that since the Guild traps aren't disabled, it means that Angel must be on her way to the Guild to demolish it. And Yuri changes their mission parameters to stop Angel from destroying the Guild. The Battlefront triggers another trap, and Hinata manages to save Otonashi while a boulder runs over Takamatsu. They next run into moving lasers that everyone but the large Matsuhita manages to dodge. At the next trap, the Battlefront is almost crushed by a falling ceiling, but TK sacrifices himself to buy them time to escape. The group then almost die in a pitfall trap where they lose Uyama and Hinata. Fujimaki insults Otonashi but then drowns in a water trap. And Shina spots a toy puppy being carried by the water and falls to her death trying to rescue it. As the two last members left, Yuri and Otonashi talk about the memories that they can remember. And Yuri relates a traumatizing childhood memory, where a group of robbers broke into her home and murdered his siblings but spared her in a cruel game. Angry at the cruel fate that she had in life, this gave her the courage to fight in the afterlife. Finally, the two manage to make it to the Guild, and they notify Yuri that Angel is making progress to their base. Yuri makes the decision to have the Guild retreat and abandon their facilities to save the Guild members and their memories, which they use to make weapons from Angel. To buy the Guild members time to destroy their base, Yuri and Otonashi attempt to delay Angel, and Otonashi watches in amazement as Yuri holds her own in close combat against Angel. The Guild attempt to help with a large cannon but blow themselves up, and they cover their retreat by destroying all the underground facilities, defeating Angel in the process. As Yuri recalls the reviving Battlefront members, Otonashi admires her leadership. For their next mission, Iwasawa, who heads the band the group use as a distraction for the NPCs, proposes using a ballad she calls My Song, but Yuri rejects the song because it wouldn't be loud enough. The next operation, they plan to use a new member named Takeyama, who goes by the name of Christ, to hack into Angel's computer for information. As the group is desperate for more information on how to defeat Angel since Yuri considers them mostly idiots. After training for the mission, Otonashi meets Yui, an assistant to the band Girls Dead Monster, preparing for the mission, and later he meets with Iwasawa, the lead guitarist of the band. When he reveals he can't remember his memories, she tells him about the life she had before the afterlife, where she used rock music to escape a terrible home life. She soon fell in love with music and planned to move to Tokyo to live her dream as a singer. But an injury from her parents gave her a stroke, and she died unable to pursue her dreams. The night of the operation, the Battlefront sneaks into the girls' dorm to get to Angel's computer, while Iwasawa and Girl's dead monster start to distract the NPCs with their rogue concert. And soon Angel arrives at the concert and the school authorities shut down the concert. Meanwhile, Takayama manages to hack into Angel's computer, but they are disappointed to find only a list of all the students at the school. At the concert, when an NPC teacher tries to destroy her guitar, a determined Iwasawa supported by her hand manages to take her guitar back and sing her ballad My Song, while the group broadcasts her singing throughout the school, causing Angel to return to the concert. This buys the group enough time to hack into the computer further and get data on Angel's powers and abilities. However, when Iwasawa finishes her ballad, she vanishes from the afterlife. The Battlefront discuss the results of the mission, that Angel is developing her own abilities, and they wonder why Iwasawa vanished. Since they must come up with a replacement for Iwasawa, the band assistant Yui volunteers to be the new head vocalist but manages to suffocate herself while auditioning. Yuri announces their next mission is to interfere with the upcoming baseball tournament, and Battlefront members who don't perform well will face a penalty, and Hinata asks Otonashi to help him form a team. However, they find that most members of the Battlefront are already on the team except for the clumsy Yui, Shina, who wants to prove herself after dying during the guild mission, and Noda, who nobody invited because he is an idiot. Meanwhile, Hinata has vague memories of a baseball match while he was still alive. The day of the baseball tournament, the rogue Battlefront teams quickly demolish the NPC teams and disrupt the tournament. Hinata's team enters the tournament and his team does surprisingly well, even as Noda and Otonashi engage in a rivalry, while Shina insists on playing the match while balancing a broom on her finger. However, they soon attract the attention of Angel and the Student Council Vice President Naai, who lead a team made up of council members. And as the tournament progresses, all Battlefront teams except for Hinata's are knocked out of the tournament. In the final game, Hinata's team struggles until Otonashi recruits Matsushita with food to play as their outfielder, and they manage to tie up the game. As the match approaches the final innings, Hinata professes to Otonashi that when he was alive he was on a baseball team headed towards the national finals, and that during the last game of the regionals his team relied on him to catch a fly ball, but the hot weather caused him to fail. Otonashi asks if Hinata will disappear if the team wins the baseball match, but Hinata insists he will be alright. In the last inning, they watch as a fly ball similar to Hinata's memories appears, but Yui accidentally tackles him, causing the team to lose the match. Later, Yuri announces that the Battlefront's next mission is to interfere with Angel during the school exams and cause her to fail all her tests. They plan to use Takayama to switch her answers for fakes while the rest of the Battlefront distracts the NPC. The Battlefront almost fails when they have no idea what Angel's name is to write on her fake exams, when Otonashi almost runs out of the room in a panic. Angel calms him down and tells him her name is Kanade Takabana. Now that they have her name, they start the operation, and the Battlefront members attempt to distract the class, but they each fail, and Yuri is forced to take extreme measures by killing the Battlefront members using rocket seeds. Nakamatsu attempts to go shirtless, but they become forced to use his rocket seed. Uyama declares his love for Angel, which doesn't faze the class, and Yuri uses another rocket seed. The operation is so successful that Angel is fired from her position as Student Council President, and Vice President Naai takes over. The next time, Yui leads the band in another instance of Operation Tornado, and they notice that Angel seems to be acting more passive than usual, and she doesn't interfere with the concert. When the Battlefront collects tickets from the concert, Otonashi gets Angel's ticket, which is for Mapo tofu that nobody from the school buys because it is too spicy. And with Angel acting as a normal student, Otonashi feels sorry for her. Meanwhile, the new Student Council President Naai announces he will be much harsher than Angel. He punishes the group by sending them into isolation, and Yuri orders the Battlefront to push against the school rules by acting out in class, but when Naai enters their classroom they are forced to flee. Later on the school roof, Yui notices that Naai beats up NPCs. Feeling curious about Angel, Otonashi asks Angel to eat the legendary Mapo tofu with him, but they are captured by Naai and sent into solitary confinement together. After some time, Otonashi receives word that the Battlefront is losing the battle against Naai, who is using NPCs as shields. He asks Angel for help and realizes that Angel might not have been his enemy after all, as when they first met he asked for proof that he was in the afterlife, and that's why she stabbed him. Otonashi also realizes that Angel is always alone because those who become her friends quickly disappear from the afterlife. Working together, they manage to escape solitary confinement to join the battle against Naai, who calls himself the god of the afterlife. Naoi announces that as a student he learned how to hypnotize others, and that he will use this skill to make them all cooperate. But when he attempts to hypnotize a defeated Yuri, his hypnotism is interrupted by Otonashi. Naoi thinks back to his former life where he grew up in a famous pottery family and had to take the place of his talented brother after his older brother died, but was never able to satisfy the expectations of his father, who also passed away. Otonashi appeals to the dedication to family Naoi displayed in life, which causes Naoi to stop the fighting. Although he still thinks he is the god of the afterlife, Naoi agrees to join the Battlefront, and Yuri orders him to use his hypnosis to help Otonashi recover his lost memories. Otonashi reluctantly agrees, although he is worried about the effect this might have on the friendships he has made in the afterlife. Otonashi remembers that in life he had a younger sister named Hatsune who was always sick, so he sacrificed school and his career to work odd jobs to take care of her and keep her happy, while secretly feeling he had no purpose in life. After years, she grew weaker in the hospital, and one night Otonashi snuck her out of the hospital to see the Christmas lights in town, where she passed away thanking him for all he had done. At first in a deep depression, Otonashi realized his purpose was to help others like his sister, and he aspired to become a doctor. But before he could complete his schooling, he remembered being in a terrible train crash. In the present, Otonashi cries over his recovered memories because he wasn't able to accomplish anything in life after taking care of his sister, and Yuri comforts him. The next Battlefront mission is to catch the Master of the River because the group is out of meal tickets. Otonashi decides to bring Angel, and though the rest of the group are against it, Yuri decides to let her join. When the Master of the River appears, Angel is the only one strong enough to catch it and slice it, and the group uses the opportunity to cook stew and serve the ordinary students at the school. At the event, Otonashi asks Angel to stop fighting with them and that he appreciates her company, introducing himself with his first name Yuzuru while calling her Kanade. Suddenly, an injured Yuri tells Otonashi that a red-eyed Kanade attacked her. The aggressive Kanade attacks, and the regular Kanade defends them at the cost of taking a hit. While Kanade heals in the infirmary, the group discuss the appearance of a second Kanade and determine that the red-eyed Kanade must be a leftover clone from her battle against the Master of the River. To deal with the clone, Yuri uses their hack into Kanade's computer to rewrite her harmonic powers to absorb all clones after use, but they discover that the clone has kidnapped the original Kanade. The Battlefront determines that Kanade is being underground in the old guild base, and on the way the group is attacked by multiple Kanade clones, and the group are forced to sacrifice themselves one by one against the clones to help the group progress to the underground. By the time they reach the ruins of the guild, only Otonashi, Yuri, and Yui are left, and as they confront the last clone, Yui accidentally runs into a pole and dies. Yuri battles the last clone until it is forced to use new powers that Yuri predicted, and she defeats it. Otonashi goes to help the captured Kanade and asks her to get rid of all the clones, but he watches in horror as they all merge into Kanade, causing her to pass out. Later that night, Otonashi, who feels responsible for Kanade, decides to stay with her while she recovers in the infirmary. The battle helps Otonashi remember the last of his living memories, and he remembers that he helped many people in the aftermath of the train accident, which caused them to all be stuck in a tunnel for several days without food and water. Aided by a kind-hearted man named Igarashi, Otonashi worked to lead the group of trapped survivors and resolve conflicts, but he was unable to prevent a man from dying. After a week trapped in the tunnel, he registers as an organ donor on his ID card, inspiring the rest of the survivors to do the same in their life and could be used to help others. Moments later, rescue arrives, but Otonashi passes away from hunger. In the present, Otonashi awakes to a healed Kanade, and after telling her his story, she comforts him that his sacrifice likely helped many people. She reveals that her purpose in the afterlife is to help individuals who died with regret in life pass peacefully on, and that the setting of a school is used to help those who were not able to enjoy their youth in life. And Otonashi realizes that Kanade had been working the entire time to help the group move on to their next life, since he somehow has not disappeared after accepting his death in life. Otonashi decides to become Kanade's ally to help his friends move on from the afterlife. They come up with a plan for Kanade to act as the antagonist Angel again, as if she forgot her memories with the group, to give Otonashi time to help his friends move on from their regret. Otonashi decides they should first help Yui, and they come up with a plan to get Otonashi alone with Yui to discover her past. Over drinks, when Otonashi asks if Yui had wishes in life, she reveals that she wanted to do many things in life because when she was a young girl she was paralyzed from the neck down due to a car accident. Otonashi begins to help Yui with her wishes, such as growing her strength so she can perform a perfect German suplex. Next, Otonashi and Kanade manipulate a situation where Yui plays soccer against members of the Battlefront and scores a goal against an entire team. They later practice Yui's wish of hitting a home run, But even though Yui makes no progress for several days, she feels her wish is fulfilled because she had so much fun trying to hit a home run. Finally, she announces that her last wish is to be married, and Hinata emerges to propose to her, proclaiming it didn't matter what handicap she had and that no matter the circumstances he'd have married her. They imagine a fictional scenario where they could have met and married each other in real life. And with her last wish fulfilled, Yui passes on. One day at school, Otonashi is talking with Hinata and Nai when they have to fight off a mysterious shadow that almost eats Nai. He recalls Incarnate and starts to question her about her battle programs when they discover members of the Battlefront being surrounded and attacked by shadows. Incarnate, with her newly programmed angel wings, springs into action as the group fights the shadow monsters. Although the group is able to defeat the shadows after much fighting, they discover that Takamatsu had been defeated during the battle, and when they go to confront him in class, they discover that he has turned into an NPC. As the shadows are growing in number, Yuri informs Otonashi that she was aware of his and Kanade's plan of helping their friends pass on, and she calls an emergency meeting with all the members to help Otonashi explain that they were sent to the afterlife to help move on from their regret and that they need to work on passing on. Encouraged, the various members of the Battlefront think and work on their wishes that would help them pass on from the afterlife. Meanwhile, Yuri deduces that the culprit of the shadows must be manipulating the programs in the afterlife, and she goes to the library. There she discovers someone has been stealing computers from the library, and a hidden passage leading from the library into the guild. While Kanade defends the group against the shadows, Otonashi helps many members, including the remaining band members of Girls Dead Monster, let go of their regrets and pass on. When shadows converge on the school, the core members fight against the horde of shadows, including a thin Matsushita who has been training in the mountains. In the underground, Yuri finds many shadows infesting the guild, and she thinks how she could have been friends with Kanade. But she could not forgive God for allowing her sisters to die. Suddenly she is swarmed by shadows, and wakes up living a normal high school life. Although she finds it peaceful, Yuri declares that she can't ignore the life she had no matter how painful it was, and breaks out of hold the shadows have over her before she is rescued by the group. Yuri continues on and finds a room full of computers, where she meets a boy who states that he is the artificial intelligence created by the programmer. A boy who created the Angel Player program that gave Kanade her powers, and who fell in love with a girl in the afterlife who later disappeared when she moved on from her regrets. The boy decided to try to stay in the afterlife in the hope that she would reincarnate again, but after millions of years he became insane and forcefully turned himself into an NPC. But before he became an NPC, he created the AI to create programs to use shadows to clear the world of humans who refuse to move on from the afterlife after too much time has passed. The AI offers Yuri enough power for her to be a god of the afterlife, but she refuses and destroys the computer room. She then has a vision of her siblings forgiving her. In the aftermath, Yuri wakes up in the infirmary surrounded by Otonashi, Kanade, Hinata, and Nai. They tell her that everyone else has moved on from the afterlife, and they stayed behind to make sure their leader passed on peacefully as well. They arrive at the auditorium where they have created a graduation ceremony for the Battlefront, including a ceremony to hand out diplomas signifying graduation from the school in the afterlife. They close the ceremony with speeches thanking each other for helping them find peace in the afterlife. Overcome with emotion, Nai cries and thanks them before disappearing. Yuri hugs Kanade, wishing they had been friends sooner before she thanks her and passes on. Hinata thanks Otonashi for joining and helping the group, and he passes on as well. Left alone with Kanade, Otonashi asks that Kanade stay with him in the afterlife to help the humans like Yuri who end up in the afterlife unable to pass on due to regret over their life on Earth. He confesses his love to her, but she reveals that she thinks she will vanish soon as well, as her last regret in life was that she was unable to thank the heart donor that helped her survive in the real world, which she realized was Otonashi after he told her his life story. Although Otonashi cannot bear for her to pass on, they hug and she thanks him before she passes on from the afterlife. The show ends in the living world, where a girl who looks like Kanade hums My Song, which is recognized by a boy who looks like Otonashi. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.